And our guest tonight is Kareem Rahma, a Webby-nominated artist, media entrepreneur, creative director, comedian, and musician. Kareem's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. From dipping hot dogs in beer at Yankee Stadium, an act that hilariously went viral, to spending over $1,700 on taxi fares for his TikTok series, Keep the Meter Running. Kareem knows how to make headlines and connect with audiences in unexpected ways. His series, Subway Takes, has turned New York City Metro into his studio, capturing the raw and often absurd essence of city life. As the first ever Chief Imagination Officer at AIR, Kareem continues to push creative boundaries. His provocative podcast and ebook, Creative Air, takes Rick Rubin's book, Creative Acts, iconic circle. I don't know if you guys seen that book, it's a circle with a dot. Takes that iconic circle and turns it into a square. He's not one to think outside the box, he's one to think in it, because no one else is. His work has been featured in major publications like Vanity Fair, GQ, and the New York Post, further cementing his place in the cultural zeitgeist. Kareem's projects, whether it's his critically acclaimed short film Out of Order, his poetry book, We Were Promised Flying Cars, or his infamous Museum of Pizza, showcase his relentless pursuit of creativity and his ability to turn even the wildest ideas into reality. Tonight, we'll delve into Kareem's creative journey, his inspirations, and the incredible impact he's made across multiple industries. Please join me, everyone, in welcoming the incredibly talented and sometimes unpredictable Kareem Rahma.
I learned a lot of new stuff about myself in that bio.
Man, well, great to finally connect and meet, and so stoked to have you. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
You know, all jokes aside, so much of what I think fascinates me and so many people who don't know you is how you got to where you are now, doing the thing that you're doing, which is making shit up. And so, as I make shit up and make questions up on the spot, I want to know about your childhood. And one of the interesting things is, so you were born in Cairo, and then you moved to Minneapolis.
I was born in an orphanage. Just kidding. But that would make the story a little more interesting. I was born in an orphanage with 3 testicles. I had 3 testicles. And I met this little doctor. He was also a child. And he removed one of the testicles. And that testicle happened to contain a number of secrets to the universe. And that's it. So thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you, Johnny, for having me.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Woo, give it up, everybody.
No, I was born in Cairo in 1986. It was just my birthday.
Oh, happy
What
birthday.
day is it today? Thursday. My birthday was on Monday, I believe. So I turned 38. Woo! Give it up for 38. Shit's so tight. I woke up and my text messages that have been all lowercase for a long time are now regular case. So now I text like a regular old Joe instead of a fuck boy. So yeah. So I was born in Cairo, came to the States when I was like around a year or so. It's unclear, just simply because I haven't asked. Both of my parents were around, and I grew up in Minnesota, in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is a weird little place if you're from Egypt. But it was cool. I pretended to celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah and Ramadan, pretended all 3 of them.
That's awesome, man. You're talking about your parents. Were your parents social media influencers as well? Like, how did you develop this trait for influencing?
Yeah, my mom got really big posting bikini photos.
On the AOL back then, right? That's what they
on
called
AOL.
TikTok back then, AOL.
And my dad was one of those guys that used to fly women around the world, like on vacations, Dubai. That's how they met. No, my mom was a daycare provider for as long as I can remember, and she started that business. So she was an entrepreneur. she started that business so that she could be home and also raise her kids. So I grew up in a house where it was like me, my brother, my sister, but also like 7 other kids at any given time. And the daycare was in our house. So like I grew and they all remained children because it would be a fresh batch every like couple of years. And it was really funny because like my bedroom was in the basement, which is also where the daycare was. And it was probably the size of this room. And like my bedroom was like the kitchen and then the daycare was this. So like in high school, when I first started like drinking alcohol or something, I'd like wake up, I'd be hungover, and there would just be like 11 little kids eating cake at noon. So it was really cool. And then my dad was, he tried many times to be an entrepreneur and many times did not succeed. But, you know, not everyone can do the thing. It was enough for him. It was enough to come to America. You know, he came in 1969, which at the time, there were not a lot of Arabs in the States, especially in the Midwest. And so my dad was like literally one of the first Egyptians in Minnesota. It was like him and like 7 other dudes. So I think that was the peak. He was like, you know what, I made it. It's fine. The rest of it is just like, if I do some other shit, it'll be good. But this is really the thing. So it was a good, like, I grew up in a cul-de-sac, had many friends and had a lot of fun, got into a lot of trouble. Good vibes.
What was it? What were some of your earliest childhood memories of, entertaining people, being funny, especially in an environment in which you had, a fresh audience every few years?
Well, I was not performing for the daycare kids. They were infants. So I could,
tough crowd, right?
I could
Tough
go like
crowd.
this, blah, and I'd get a huge applause.
Yeah.
Like I was definitely the class clown, and I got into trouble a lot, but it was all very harmless. It was victimless crimes, stealing a car, like selling alcohol to others, stealing money from McDonald's. But I had a really genius way of doing it. So I worked at McDonald's when I was 14. So you're curious. We got a criminal over here. So I worked at McDonald's when I was 14. My mom didn't want me to get a job, but I really wanted to like buy my own stuff because my parents were just, regular people and couldn't buy me the things that I wanted as a kid. So I got a job, and I got that job at McDonald's. I made $5.05 per hour. Not a lot of money. I worked from 4 to 7 p.m. every single day, Monday through Thursday. So I didn't have many hobbies, but I did realize that if I stole money from the cash register, I would get caught. And I know this because I saw people get caught. So I said, that's not going to happen. And then I saw that little change bucket for like orphans. And I said, I'm not doing that either because I have a conscience. And then I realized taxes. Yeah, I was getting taxed on my paychecks. Like I was making like $140 every 2 weeks, and it would be 80. I was still happy, but still, I was like, oh, so there's a tax man. So I was like, I'm gonna do my own tax. So every time somebody came to McDonald's, they would buy food for like $3.70, and they would give me $4. I would just shortchange them like 5 cents. And I had a little calculator in my pocket. And so I would shortchange someone for 5 cents, and I would put plus 0.05. And then I'd shortchange another person 3 cents, and then 25 cents, and then 10 cents. And I would keep adding it in my little calculator. And then by the end of the day, my register would actually have an additional $20 to $30 in it that was free for the taking. And so, yeah, that's how I got rich.
Incredible.
I mean, I don't think that's stealing. Because if you think about it, like, do you ever look at your change? I just went and bought 2 slices of pizza, and I gave the person money, and they gave me change. I put it in my pocket. He could have given me $0. I don't even know. Like, no one looks at their pennies. Like, pennies are meaningless, so somebody's got to make use of it. So I actually want to know, do you guys think that's stealing? No, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you think it's stealing. Okay, I win. 100% I win. There's like 11 people thought it was stealing in a room with 100 people in it. I'm good. I'm good. Also, statute of limitations. I was 14. You know what I'm talking about?
So real quick, you mentioned, very early on you knew you were a class clown. At what point did you also realize you were a kleptomaniac?
That's really the only time I ever stole, which I just said wasn't stealing. So that's really the only time I was in the gray area between theft and taxation, which is one and the same. No, I don't know. I was funny, but I didn't know what to do with the humor. Yeah. So it just ended up in going to the detention a lot, the principal's office a lot. But it was like, aside from that McDonald's thing, it was just funny. Like I would be in class and I would draw a picture of a naked lady and then show it to the whole class. Everyone would be laughing, and then the teacher would be like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Nothing." I'd shove it in my mouth because then she couldn't get it, and then she'd have to pry my mouth open. And then if she did that, then she actually should send me, she deserves to send me to the principal's office. But then I'll go to the principal's office and they just laugh and be like, "Go back to class." So it was just like a ping pong.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah. And you mentioned you went to college. What did you study in college?
Journalism.
How did journalism come from comedy?
Well, my father was like, "You have to pick a major." I was in my third year of college, junior year, and I still hadn't declared a major. And I just opened there was a book back in the day that had all the majors in it, and I just opened it and I said, "I'll do that. That seems easy."
Good answer.
And in my mind, I was like, this makes sense because it is easy, which was important because a priority for me till this day is having fun. That is number one. There's no way I was going to become a mechanical engineer. I had a roommate who was a mechanical engineer, zero fun. What's the point of being in college? Or even alive?
What's the point of a living, yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm not doing that. And so that was kind of in my judgment, it was like, is this easy so I can have fun? Yes, check the box. Does it seem important to others? Yes, it does. I'm a journalist. Whoa, cool. Where? Great. Passes that test. AKA, yeah, it passes the test. And then, does it seem like there's a possibility of making money in that industry? That one I was wrong about. But at the time, it was like, this seems like a creative career, but is also kind of business oriented. And I ended up minoring in advertising. So literally what today is in terms of any media, everything is advertising and journalism at the same time. Back then, it was like, ooh, no, the journalists are over there and then the business people are over here. It was really different. I was like, I'm just gonna major in both. Or I'm gonna major in journalism and minor in advertising, so I know both. And so that's how I chose that. And I didn't I got a job in advertising immediately.
Oh, really? Where'd you end up working?
I worked at this small ad agency. I had an internship, and it was in something at an ad agency called Rizdal, which I think still exists. And it was the #1 advertising agency in Minnesota type on Google. That's what it was. It was the #1 advertising agency in Minnesota on Google. So if you typed in advertising agency Minnesota, they were #1. And so, but we were doing organic, my friend. We were all organic results. And for a while, we were actually organic search term #1 for just the word advertising agency. The reason I know these things is because they made me an SEO intern, which honestly was a pivotal. SEO, for those of you who don't know, it's called search engine optimization. And at that time, I was like, oh, there is a method to the madness of the internet. It's not there's a way to strategically become #1 on Google for advertising agency. And it made me realize that all of the things that were on the internet were organized, and people were actually there was a strategy behind this thing. And I remember that job was really boring for me. It was a lot of keyword research, which is you would type in advertising agency, and then you would come up with 2,000 variations of that search term. And that was not fun. So I went into the John Risdall's office. He was the boss. And I was like, I don't want to be in this job anymore. I want to be an account executive. I just started watching Mad Men. I was like, I want to live like Don Draper. There's no SEO people in Mad Men. And if they were, they would all be a bunch of Harrys, a bunch of losers. And so I went in there and he said, you'll never be an account executive. And I said, but John, why can't I be an account executive? And he said, you don't have the right set of skills, which I now realize is like being organized, being good at emailing, being respectful to people when you don't agree with them, a number of other things. And so he was right. But the SEO thing led me to being the head of the social media department when I was like 23 or something. Or no, I wasn't even, I was like 20. I don't even know how old I was.
You were early on the social media.
Yeah, what is the year after you graduate college? Is there, you're like 22? So I was 22-ish. Everything's an ish over here, buddy. You want rocket science? I majored in journalism, not fucking rocket science. So yeah, it was I was able to be the head of social media, and it was simply because I was like young and hanging out a lot on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then that, and then everything happens.
I'm still looking for a TikTok intern. I'm still looking for someone else.
An intern? Dude.
A head of TikTok.
No, you can't hire. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
You would have to hire a head of TikTok. You cannot hire an intern to run your TikTok unless you want bad work.
So I want to put a pin in the. It's so fascinating. Like working at this company helped you come up with this conception that you can, on some level, game the internet. And I think that's so fascinating because you've had a number of viral hits. We alluded to earlier. There was a viral moment in which you dipped a hot dog into a beer during the Yankees game that just went viral. Tell us about that experience of what would drive you to dip a hot dog in a beer.
Oh, well, man, so I was like, I was thinking about the universe, and I had just read Stephen Hawking's book, and I was just thinking about, like, why are we here? And I realized that beers are the reason that we're here. And so at that point, I got hungry. No, I'm just kidding. It was a moment where I was I didn't start doing comedy like as a professional, aka saying I'm a comedian, until I was 33, which, as you guys have now realized, I'm very bad with numbers. What year was that? I don't know. So at around age 33, I said, what was that? You know what year? Oh, that's right. That is actually right. So in 2019, I said, I'm gonna be a comedian now. And part of the initial work was figuring out like what I thought was funny. And so I started doing these pranks, like internet pranks. That's what I call them. It was like not trying to go viral. It was just like, what is because in that video, I didn't even reveal my face or share it on my page or retweet it. I just went completely silent. And the reason that it definitely went viral, is because I was with my friend Nico. He has a big social media audience, and we came up with this idea on the fly, and I was like, but I don't want anyone to know it's me. And just, I don't know, it's just like dipping a hot dog in a beer is dumb. No one would ever do it. So there's another video I did where I put hot dogs in, I put a hot dog in this pocket and a hot dog in this pocket. That also went viral. Anything with hot dogs will go viral.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like that. That was just like, that's for fun. That was just like testing what I could get away with and what, I didn't care about getting credit for it. I just wanted to see what would happen if I did that. And good things happened,
yeah,
I suppose.
I want to rewind for real quick, because that happened when you were 33, but for 10 years, you spent time head of social media of this company. And what else were you doing during that decade before you began to self-identify as a comedian? Were you doing creative things on the side? Like, how were you interfacing with that aspect of your personality while holding a full-time job?
I was exclusively dedicated to trying to make money. I was not exploring creativity at all. Pretty much from 14 when I got the job at McDonald's until 33, I only cared about one thing, money. Really. And not like in a sick and twisted way, but I was just like, I need, like, all these people are rich and I'm not, like, I want to be like them. Um, and so I had a lot of jobs. I worked at, where did I work? I was oh, this was cool. I, at one point was like a professor at a music college teaching a class about online marketing, which was cool. I was a consultant. I was I just jumped around and like and I started little businesses. I started like this thing called shewearsyourtea.com, which was I was in Minnesota at the time and I was like made this website called shewearsyourtea.com. And the idea was that any brand could buy a day for this New York fashion model to wear your shirt, your branded content shirt. And it like was good. Like we sold out. We like made like $60,000, and then I was like, this is too much work. I'm out, and I shut it down because I didn't realize how many shirts. That's 365 shirts. That's 365 clients. It's too many shirts, too many emails. So I was out, and I started like this thing called inboxcupid.com, which was I saw Groupon and like it was daily deals, and I was like, oh, what about daily dates? It's genius. And the way it worked, it was what not well thought out at all, but like you would say like you would just get sent out to all women in Minnesota who have specified that they're straight. That was the only there was no like filters. It was just like women, men, bang, bang, done. Like and I did that for even less than I did that for like 3 weeks. I got some press and I was like, all right, that's good. On to the next one. Um, and then I moved to New York, and that's when I really started to like actually figure out what I was gonna do. I got a job at Vice. I was really lucky to like land in New York with one friend who had just moved to New York the month before me, so technically no friends. And like I happened to get a job at Vice, and then I was surrounded by 125-year-olds, and that was like the probably the most important moment in my like I guess young adult life was getting that job.
And what was it specifically about being surrounded by so many mid-20 somethings at Vice in that moment that really catalyzed this creative journey for you?
Well, I mean, it was like a cool place. As 2012, it was the coolest, probably the coolest place to work, and I got lucky. My skill set paid off. They were like hiring for someone that knew journalism and advertising. Me, literally the only person in the world. No, seriously, because at that point they were like just journalists, and they were like, "Oh my God, Intel wants to work with us." And then they were like, "You're perfect." It was great. Uh, but like, yeah, I mean, just I had no friends. Like I moved to New York with zero friends, and then all of a sudden, I at least had 100 faces to potentially say hello to, although everyone was so mean. But then I realized it's just how like Minnesota is so nice. It's actually overly nice. The people of Vice weren't mean; they were just normal. They're just regular old humans. Um, and I still keep in touch with so many of those people. Like today, I'm still in group chats with them, and it's seems like ages ago. That does.
Do you remember the moment in your career, before turning 33 or leading into turning 33, where you were like, okay, I really self-identify now with being a creative, being a comedian, actor, musician, poet. What was the turning point for you, or maybe even the big break for you that made you think, okay, I can do this, I'm going to do this?
One day in November 2018, I flipped my laptop down, turned my Spotify off. I turned off Rye, Rhye, poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat on the couch, and I turned on Mad Men. And I said, you know what? I don't want to email for a living anymore. Done emailing. And then I had a midlife crisis. So No, I got really burnt out. It was the pretty much the Museum of Pizza, which you may or may have not attended or heard about, is something that was a big fat vision and dream of mine.
Were you doing that during Vice as well?
No, no, no. So it went Vice in 2012, New York Times in 2014, started my own company in 2016, and then I did that until 2020, pretty much, or 2019. And when I started my own company, that was like the dream. That's what, I was like, I'm gonna get rich. That's what people do when they start companies, they get rich. And I was super in, didn't get rich, but met a lot of fun and interesting people along the way. But in this company, we put on this project called the Museum of Pizza, which again came from this idea that I saw like, oh, the Museum of Ice Cream is really popular and that lady's gonna get rich. I'll just make a museum of pizza and I'll also get rich. And then decided to self-produce it, got screwed over by some landlords. All these things happened where it essentially after that closed, it opened successfully. Everyone got their pizza. Everyone saw their art. Everyone got paid except for me. I said, I don't think I'm the right guy to do this, like to do this kind of thing. Like I don't think this is for me. Like I'm pretending. I realized that I was pretending for like all of those years, from 14 until 33. It was all just like, this is what I should be doing because I need to make money and I need to like, live the American dream. And that's when I just was like, you know what? I need to try something new. I've never tried something new. And I think I published my first TikTok video that day and I turned off the comments and I put it on Instagram and I turned off the comments because I didn't want anyone to be like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you pretend like, why are you act like, what was the video? Oh, I was doing an impression of Elton John. It's true, that is a good question. Why are you doing that? There was no Elton John news. I just like decided that the first comedy video I'd ever make was me doing an impression of Elton John.
Can you do it for us?
There was no sound, you freaks. It was just music. It was just music and me like wearing like a headscarf and like banging on like, a piano. And I turned the comments off because I didn't want people to think that I was like losing my mind, which I came to realize that many people did think that I was losing my mind. One of my good friends who's a director and like a commercial director, film director, like recently, this is 4 years later, he was like, dude, I gotta tell you, man, you've come a long way. He's like, you were so cringe. I didn't know what you were doing. I thought you were having a mental breakdown. And I was like, oh, like I didn't think that it was that bad. I thought it was cool. So yeah. And then from there though, I will say, from the moment I skipped aspiring comedian. It's too late. I'm 33. I'm too late in the game to be aspiring. I said, I'm done. I'm a comedian. That's it. My old life is my old life. My new life is my new life. I'm a comedian. I introduced myself as a comedian. The day after I put that video, what do you do for a living? I'm a comedian. How much money do you make? $0. But that's what I did for a living. And I had this idea to jam 10 years of work into 5 years in order to catch up with everyone else. And so for pretty much I think it has been 4 years, maybe. You guys know the drill. You know the drill. It's not 5 yet. It's 4. I know it's not 5. Fuck. Anthony gave me my first film role in a beloved series called Bros. Although he typecast me. I was an Uber driver. Named Hassan. I took the role. I took the part. It was better than terrorist, which was the other role he offered. I said, hey, Anthony, man, I got standards, bro. I know I just started, but I'm not playing terrorist in your movie. But yeah, it was like I just went all in. I said, fuck it, I'm going all in. I bet the bank, I bet everything. I said, I'm doing it. I built a studio in my kitchen. I like failed a million times. There's so many failures. Like so many, even some things that have never been released that are still failures because they haven't been released yet. And when they get released, they might be successes. We don't know yet. But yeah, I mean, obviously we all know everyone only sees the success, but like there's so much work and so much time and so much money and so much energy and so much effort and so many relationships behind the scenes that just aren't visible to people just coming in right now, you know? Which actually is a thing that I was thinking about. Is that like people that meet me now are like, oh, this guy's successful, but like I don't even feel successful. So it's just a weird thing that I've been thinking about.
That's super fascinating. I think one of the interesting things that you talked about was, almost like shedding all these impurities of your identity. You're not a,
I still have all the impurities.
you're no longer this like kleptomaniac McDonald's working daycare, terrorizing journalist from Minnesota. You're a comedian, bro. And one of the interesting things, how many people here have seen Subway Takes or Keep the Meter Running? And for
Not
those who
enough.
don't know,
Not
for those who
enough.
don't know, these are very virally, successful series that has Kareem interviewing, I would say, everyday people in everyday places, in hilarious situations in hilarious ways, with the exception of some celebrities and musicians that you've had. I'm really curious. You've had a lot of success with these two shows. The commonality is really about the everyday person and developing this like empathy for the other. What is it about that motif, that thematic element that has worked and resonated for you that has made this, those two series really, the breakthrough work that you've done to date?
I First of all, I hate that this is your couch. Was not empathy. I don't think it's empathy. Like I don't feel like a certain way about anyone on the show, and then I don't empathize them in the manner that maybe you think about when you think empathy. Like I empathize with them that they're humans, but like that's not the first thought in my mind is like, ooh, I want to be empathetic to these people. Like
You're not empathetic when someone's hot take is they love women's armpit hair? We have a hot taker right here.
sounds like a
Subway
sexual
Take.
deviant to me.
We'll talk about
Right,
that in
Anthony?
therapy right after this.
No, I like, I think it's like, it's hard to, I think that empathy is overused in Hollywood or whatever that phone wood is because it's like, oh, like we're showing like the normal side of like these humans and like, but it's not even that at all. Like that part's not interesting. The point is that people are interesting if you give them a minute. Literally, that's the point. And the like that those shows are just a mirror to the reality that I live, where I'm making friends with like the guy that owns the deli, not because he owns a deli that's so cool, but like he's just a guy that stands behind the counter all day, and I see him all the time. So rather than make it a transactional purchase where it's just like boom, boom, we don't say hi, we go, oh, my deli guy who I never speak to, like it's just about like giving people a minute. But it's not about empathy to me. It's not like I don't feel bad for anyone that's on the show or like whatever. Like I don't know how I'm trying to say it. The point is that people are interesting, and I think as a creator or a producer, the job is to find interesting people and point cameras at them or give them a platform to have, you know?
Yeah, what have been some of the most interesting or hilarious hot takes, Subway takes, or stories that you've seen from people?
I mean, I think like I'll go to Keep the Meter Running, which is a series where I hail cabs and I tell the driver to take me to their favorite place and keep the meter running. And we've been all over the place. We've been all over the world. And I gotta say, like, the cab drivers are they're like you know how we're all multi hyphenates and it's like, oh, I'm a poet and I'm also like I walk dogs and I also am an account executive. Like the cab drivers are also doing that. They're like, I'm a cab driver, but I also own like a well in Ghana that my wife runs when I'm here, but we switch places every 6 months, right? Or like I'm a cab driver, but I also have a one-man show on Broadway or off Broadway called Off. Like that's the point is like you get in a cab or I'm a cab driver, but I also have made folk music that sounds like Bob Dylan. Like it's crazy. And the problem is that we just hail a cab, we get in, we look at our phones, and then we leave. But like they're all there, all the people are there. They're all like cool and interesting and fun. We just don't talk to them. Um, and then in terms of subway takes, that show is crazy. that show, that show is just crazy. I think that the take that really just I think about all the time is should Jack Harlow be able to say the N-word? I don't think so, but the person that came on the show did think so. He was black. He was trying to bestow a pass to Jack Harlow, and it was a great discussion. I encourage you to watch it. It's very funny. I should also say that the people on Subway Takes, many of them are comedians, and the idea was let's create like late night TV, getting the late night Seth Meyers spot or like whatever. I don't even know who they are anymore. Those guys behind the desk. Like getting that spot doesn't move the needle for a comedian. You don't get like more followers. You don't get booked more. Like you have a clip, cool. You get to tell people. You get to go to the green room. But like it's not like no one cares, you know. Whereas on Subway Takes, it becomes this thing where like you actually get tangible value. Millions of people see the video. You get a ton of new followers. You might get some brand deals. Like it works to their advantage. So that's like really core to the show is that it is everyday regular people. It's a couple of celebrities or musicians here and there, but like really the show is for comedians to come and say whatever the fuck they want to say. Yeah, there's been two Subway Takes in here. Has there only been three? Who's the third? Oh yeah. What was your take? Make movies horny again. Zishan?
I'll let people look it up. You know? That's in my strategy.
I can tell them.
Do you go for it?
Zishan said that all women are more attractive with armpit hair. And then Anthony said that vertical video is the demise of our culture. On the vertical video show. On the vertical, that he shoots and edits. Some would say directs. Depends on how you ask. If you ask me, shoots and edits.
Oh,
no, but I think that's also a really important thing is that like, you know, what 4 years ago when I said I'm doing this, some people secretly said this guy's crazy, he lost his mind. Other people said nothing, which is the majority of them. And then some people said, cool, I'll come along for the ride. I'm in. And I think that's like one of the most important things is you have to find people that believe in you and believe in your ideas and help them with their ideas and they help you with your ideas. And I think that's in a world where everything is like super transactional. I think help is just a nice thing to have, you know? Like I made a commitment that when I bought my equipment, which I was really on the fence about because it was expensive, but again, I bet on myself by taking out a credit card at B&H and buying these cameras. And my girlfriend was like, do it. Like, you know, she believed in me. And I was like, dude, what am I doing? Like, it's $14,000. I was like, I don't even have an idea for a show. Why am I buying? She's like, you'll come up with ideas. And sure enough, I did. But I made a point at that moment. I was like, because I would ask people if I could borrow their cameras, and they'd be like, oh yeah, but like I'll have to charge you a rental fee. And this is like friend of a friend. And I get that if like I'm like, hey, I need to borrow your cameras because I'm making a commercial. I get it. I would gladly give someone money. But I made it a point when I bought my cameras that if a friend or a friend of a friend ever wanted to borrow my equipment, I would let them do it for free. I've been doing that. But it's not like, it's just like because is it mutual aid? It's not mutual aid. I don't know what the word is, but like what is it? Like, that's the favor economy? That's not even it either. It's like being a good neighbor. Whatever happened to being a good fucking neighbor? Hey, dude, I ran out of salt. Can I have some? Sure. Don't bother paying me back. Nowadays, can I borrow some salt? Yeah, how much? Here's a bag, $20. Give me a break. People have lost their minds. I asked my landlord recently if I could move in one day early. He said, I have to charge you $200. I said, I'll move on my fucking birthday then, which I did.
Wow.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know where I'm going with that. That's my take.
And he's sticking to it. Let's fast forward real quick to what you're doing today.
You know, you shouldn't have given this captive audience to me. Everyone's like sitting on the floor, comfortable, and just keep talking and talking and talking. I want to do a poll. How many of you guys like me? Oh, okay, that's pretty good. That's a half.
A mixed crowd.
Half is not bad. What do I got to do to get you to like me? That's the most important thing to me.
That's better
aside
than-
from fun. I'm having fun, so I'm completing my goal.
Yeah. You're beating
You like-
Joe Biden's
you like
approval
me?
rating, so.
I care about you. Do you like me? Okay, good. All right. I care.
All right, so fast forward to today. You're the Chief Imagination Officer of AIR, some title that you completely made up.
Is Shane here?
Uh,
Where's Shane?
Shane,
Where are you?
that's the
All right.
CEO.
That's the CEO of
Yeah.
Air.
So yeah, what is this role? How did you get to it?
The
Like,
Chief Imagination Officer? You really have to ask. Wow.
Are you like Disney Imagineering? Is AIR like Disneyland?
Okay, so here's the cool thing about working with cool brands and cool companies. Air approached me and they said, we really like your videos, you're very funny. What can we do together? I said, they want to do branded content, right? Like people want to do branded content, that's fine. Pitched an idea that you guys should hire me as the Chief Imagination Officer to your company, and we'll make some content that I'm the Chief Imagination Officer of the company, and that will be the campaign, and then you'll fire me. And then that will be the campaign. And they were like, let's do it. That sounds crazy and awesome. And we literally hit their goals in a 24-hour period after doing the first campaign. And I think it was a great collaboration of me, again, literally, I'm not kidding. The number one priority is fun, right? I was like, this sounds hilarious and fun. Like I get to troll all these people on my LinkedIn and say that I'm a chief imagination. It's still up. And say I'm a chief imagination officer of a company that actually exists, that has a real CEO. Like, of course.
That's
And-
not a real CEO. No.
But you know, them saying yes was a big risk, and me pitching the idea, I was like, I don't know if, personally, I don't know if it's gonna work, but it sounds fun, but it worked. It was awesome. And so now we are doing more work together in my fake role. And again, Shane hit me up, and Ari, what is Ari's job? Unclear. Ari's the other guy. They were like, we want to do something else with you. Like, what should we do? Actually, this time they came with an idea. They said, we want to make a movie. I said, that sounds right up my alley, buddy. Like, I love making movies. So we made this movie together. It's called Creative Differences, a damn movie. You'll learn what damn is in it. And it was just, it's like, was really fun. Oh, I don't want to get into the Q&A part of this. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, it's not a real role. It's a fake role, but it's kind of a real role. Does that make sense to some people? No? What do you guys do for a living? Let's do stand up. What do you do for a living, sir? Yeah, sure, you. Who's saying that? I wasn't pointing at you. Where did you come from? You really are a magician. That guy you have not been there. I've never seen you. No, you have not been standing there. I've been looking right at this direction. It's been empty. Fucking Harry Houdini. You're a magician? Cool, do a trick. I'm just kidding. So we believe that he is a magician. You believe him? Good. What else do you guys do? What do you do? Yeah? A private chef? That's a cool job. No.
Talk to Shane. Talk to Shane.
If lunch is $20 maximum, I can. I can't, can I? I need to lose about 10 pounds, so maybe I'll call you. What do you do for a living? Just kidding, I know you. But you can say it.
Yeah, I own a branding agency and I do a little advising, some consulting.
Give it up for Brandathon.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Do that.
Woo.
Appreciate that. And yeah, but also kind of like with your story, expand and grow and have more fun.
Fun.
Life's a long journey.
Fun's the number one priority.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like if you do something you love, you won't work a day in your life. I think it's a similar vibe.
Yeah.
Prioritize fun.
If you love what you do, work becomes play. And you've been so good at playing these past few years with all these new things. I'm really excited because you were talking about creative differences, this damn movie, and it also sounds like tonight we have a special, not so much a surprise, but the world premiere of this new film, after which I believe Shane's gonna fire you in front of everybody.
Again? I've already been fired. I just got rehired.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is this a surprise? I'm not.
It's all in your imagination, my friend.
Don't fire me, dude. I just had a baby. Yeah, give it up for the baby.
Give her a baby.